Stop imagining that failure is one of your choices. Erase it from your mind as surely as you would strike a false figure from a ledger. Men drift because they keep failure on the table, as if it were a possibility to be weighed. The one who triumphs is not the man who asks, "What if I lose?" It is the man who marches forward as though loss itself were forbidden by law. Think of the average soul. He hesitates. He begins a task, but already whispers excuses in his heart, already rehearses how he will explain away his defeat. He tells his friends, "If it doesn't work out, I'll try something else." And so life grants him exactly what he prepared for: half victories, broken ventures, dreams abandoned in mid-course. He never discovers his true power because he never closes the door behind him. Now picture the opposite. Imagine living one day, just one, as if success were already guaranteed. Imagine walking into the room with the bearing of a conqueror, as if the deal were already signed, the victory already secured, the applause already earned. Do you not feel your chest rise higher, your voice grow firmer, your step more certain? That is what it means to act as though failure were impossible. It is not arrogance. It is alignment with law. History proves it. Henry Ford faced a chorus of critics who laughed at his idea of a motor car for the masses. Had he considered failure, he would have bent to their scorn, but he refused to place failure on the list of options. He walked forward as though the car were already on the road and the world bowed to his vision. Edison failed 1,000 times in his laboratory, but he never once admitted defeat. Each experiment was not a failure. It was a step. That is why his name endures as the Wizard of Invention. And Andrew Carnegie, poor immigrant boy, dared to act as though destiny itself had reserved riches for him. His belief was so definite that the world could not refuse him. Ask yourself, what would you attempt if failure were not possible? What dream have you hidden because you feared loss, ridicule, rejection? What business, what book, what invention? What love have you locked away because you let the ghost of failure frighten you? And what would happen today, not tomorrow, if you decided that failure no longer existed in your vocabulary? Hear me clearly. The man who acts as though he cannot lose discovers that even setbacks serve him. Every defeat becomes fuel. Every obstacle becomes proof. Every enemy becomes a servant of his destiny. Life does not dare deny him because he carries himself as though denial were impossible. But beware. The man who walks with failure in his pocket will surely spend it. He will sabotage himself before his enemies can. He will bend before he has even been struck. He will live a life of almost and not quite, haunted by the knowledge that he never dared to close the door behind him and burn the bridge. So I say to you, decide now. Walk forward with no retreat in your mind. Speak, act, live as though success were already yours, and you will find that life bends to the man who refuses to be bent. Act like failure was never an option. Act like you cannot lose. Part 1. The law of absolute belief. Erase failure from the mind. Faith is the foundation of every enduring success. It is the invisible power behind all riches, all triumph, all greatness. Without it, a man is like a ship without a rudder, drifting, tossed, and finally dashed upon the rocks of circumstance. With it, he becomes the master of destiny itself. The first act of mastery is belief. The first command to life is conviction. The first law of achievement is the refusal to entertain the idea of defeat. A man becomes what he believes himself to be. You cannot rise higher than your own image of possibility. The one who doubts himself is already beaten. The one who believes himself chosen cannot be denied. This is not idle optimism. It is law. Every action begins in thought, and every thought is governed by belief. You will never act boldly on a truth you half doubt. You will never persist in a plan you secretly fear will fail. But once the mind accepts success as certain, every faculty of the body begins to labor for it as though commanded by divine decree. Look closely at the men who have altered the course of history. Not one of them began with proof. They began with faith so strong that proof was forced to follow. Henry Ford was not a scientist, nor was he wealthy, nor did he possess social power. He possessed belief, belief so definite that it bent the facts. When engineers told him his dream of an affordable car for the masses was impossible, he replied, "Build it anyway." He was not arguing with them. He was commanding the universe. Within a few years, the impossible stood parked on every street in America. Thomas Edison did not stumble upon electricity by chance. He held in his mind a picture of light long before light was born. When men laughed, he smiled. When experiments failed by the thousands, he said, "I have not failed. I have found another way that will not work." This was not stubbornness. It was belief. He believed that the world could be illuminated, and because he believed it, he gave the world light. Faith is creative power in motion. It shapes matter. It summons ideas. It organizes opportunity. Andrew Carnegie began as a boy in a telegraph office. No wealth, no education, no title. Yet he believed himself destined to command steel and did so with a precision that left the industrial world gasping. Men far older and richer doubted him, but Carnegie's belief did not depend on their consent. His mind was fixed. Therefore, his fortune was fixed. The average man reverses this law. He waits for evidence before believing. He says, "I will believe when I see results." Life responds, "You will see results when you believe." He calls this prudence, but it is fear disguised as reason. The man of power understands that belief precedes fact. He does not wait to see. He decides to know. Faith is not blind. It is sight of a higher order, the ability to see the unseen. It is not superstition. It is organized knowledge of the mind's creative law. What you believe with feeling becomes a command to your subconscious, and the subconscious is a faithful builder. It does not argue. It does not question. It accepts the blueprint it is given and builds in silence until the result appears in form. When you think, "I am bound to succeed," your subconscious begins at once to adjust every thought, emotion, and habit to that command. It arranges coincidences, influences people, and brings opportunity within your reach. But if you say, "Perhaps I might fail," the same mind begins building obstacles, creating confusion, and multiplying delay. The subconscious has no humor. It takes you literally. You are the architect. It is the builder. If your blueprint contains doubt, do not complain when the house collapses. Every man is surrounded by the fruits of his own belief. His income, his home, his friends, his reputation, all are mirrors reflecting what he has believed possible for himself. When belief is small, life is narrow. When belief expands, the world expands with it. The man who knows this law saves decades of wandering. He no longer experiments with mediocrity. He experiments with greatness. Say aloud each morning, "I believe without proof. I act without hesitation. My faith is my evidence." Speak it until your voice carries the tone of certainty. Speak it until doubt becomes unnatural. For 30 days, write your definite chief aim as though it were already achieved. Begin every day with the statement, "I have already won." This is not fantasy. It is the conditioning of law. Consider what would happen if you erased every thought of failure from your mind for one single month. Imagine 30 days without fear, without apology, without second guessing. Would you not act differently? Would you not speak more boldly, plan more precisely, and carry yourself with greater power? The mind, once convinced of its own certainty, commands results with astonishing speed. Belief is not emotion, it is choice. It is the deliberate decision to trust your vision more than your surroundings. The timid man says, "I will try." The man of faith says, "I will." One word contains hesitation, the other contains command. The universe does not reward those who try, it rewards those who do. Every hour of doubt steals power. Each time you question yourself, you delay your fortune. But every time you affirm belief, your mental magnet strengthens. You draw people, ideas, and events that match your conviction. This is why the confident man seems lucky. Luck is merely the law of belief moving faster than the observer can measure. Your faith must not depend on comfort. True belief is calm in the storm. When failure appears to approach, the believer smiles. He knows it is illusion, a shadow cast by fear. Edison smiled at failure. Ford ignored it. Carnegie commanded it to leave. They were not fearless because life favored them. Life favored them because they refused fear. Understand this truth. The man who entertains failure as a possibility invites it as a guest. To think of defeat is to prepare its table. To imagine loss is to issue its invitation. The mind that believes success is certain finds that defeat cannot enter. Belief builds a wall, invisible but impenetrable, around him. You must, therefore, practice belief until it becomes second nature. Begin by watching your words. Each phrase you speak is a seed. Never say, if this fails, if this does not work, or if I am unlucky. Replace them instantly with, when this succeeds, when this is complete, when I achieve. Your speech directs the subconscious like a general commands an army. Doubt in language is mutiny in spirit. Belief also requires focus. A mind scattered among many possibilities never gains momentum. Choose one aim, one vision, and concentrate your faith upon it as sunlight through a lens. Scattered light warms. Concentrated light ignites. In that ignition lies genius. Every great success is the product of mental concentration sustained by belief. Faith must also be personal. You cannot borrow belief. You may be inspired by another's faith, but you must translate it into your own certainty. You must reach the point where your belief stands alone, without witness or applause. Edison labored alone for years. Ford was laughed at. Carnegie was opposed by experts. Faith made solitude a companion instead of an enemy. Affirm once more, failure is not real. It is an illusion unrecognized by my mind. Say it until it feels true, for when the subconscious accepts this command, the outer world conforms to it. Failure cannot attach itself to the man who refuses it in thought. Let your faith be definite, not vague. To say, I will succeed someday, is to postpone power. Say instead, I succeed now. The moment of belief is the moment of creation. Time merely reveals what faith has already built. To strengthen belief, surround yourself with reminders of success. Keep symbols of progress before your eyes. A written goal, an image, a token of achievement. Each time you see it, speak your affirmation aloud. The repetition of belief ingrains it upon the subconscious until doubt finds no soil to root in. You may say, but I have believed before and failed. No, you hoped and wavered. True belief does not collapse when results delay. It grows stronger in the waiting. The man who truly believes does not measure progress by sight. He knows that every unseen hour is working in his favor. Faith is patient because it is certain. Understand also that belief does not require reason. Reason asks, can this be done? Faith declares, it is done. The mind of reason is useful for planning. The mind of faith is required for creating. Facts describe what is, faith creates what will be. The man who combines both is unstoppable. When faith becomes your permanent attitude, your environment transforms to reflect it. People who once ignored you will listen. Doors that once closed will open. Circumstances that once opposed you will bend. It is not the world that changes first, it is you. This is the great secret. Life is a mirror. It reflects belief magnified. The man who walks as though success were his birthright finds that the world treats him accordingly. The man who apologizes for existing finds the world impatient with his presence. You teach others how to treat you by the confidence with which you treat yourself. In the final analysis, all failure is mental. Defeat exists only in thought. Remove it from the mind, and it disappears from the world. When you accept this truth completely, you will live in the rarest state known to man, the state of absolute belief. So write your aim as already achieved. Read it morning and night. Speak your affirmations aloud. Act with certainty in every step. Think not of whether success will come, but how soon. Every act of faith sends a ripple through the unseen, gathering energy until it returns as visible success. Faith is the soil in which all seeds of greatness grow. No farmer expects harvest from barren earth, and no man can reap abundance from the barren field of doubt. If failure is not believed in, it cannot live. The law of life is simple. Believe and act as though success were certain, and success becomes certain. Now, as you close your eyes tonight, say quietly, I have already won. Let this thought travel deep into your subconscious. There it will take root, unseen but alive, building your future while you sleep. For tomorrow belongs to the man who believes in it before it arrives. Part 2. The Furnace of Desire, when the heart leaves no room for defeat. There is a fire that separates the great from the forgotten, a fire unseen by the eyes but felt by the world. That fire is desire. All success, all wealth, all genius begins with one spark of desire so intense that it burns through every obstacle and consumes every doubt. The man who truly desires cannot be stopped. The man who merely wishes cannot begin. Desire is the engine of faith, the furnace of creation, the heartbeat of destiny itself. Weak desire whispers, strong desire commands. The weak man says, I hope to succeed. The strong man declares, I will succeed, and nothing will prevent it. The difference is not words, it is heat. One speaks from habit, the other from flame. And the universe, which obeys vibration more than speech, hears only the language of fire. Every soul is born with some degree of desire, but few dare to feed it. The average man smothers his fire with fear, duty, and custom. He says it is foolish to want too much, and so he never receives even a little. But the man who dares to desire with intensity draws power from every corner of existence. His mind glows. His words carry force. His presence commands respect. Life itself bends toward him because he radiates motion. Consider Edwin C. Barnes, a man with no money, no education, no position. Yet he possessed one thing stronger than circumstance, a burning desire to become the business partner of Thomas Edison. He did not merely want to work for Edison. He decided to stand beside him. Desire turned his decision into a magnet. He traveled to Edison's laboratory, poor but unwavering, and declared his intention. Edison saw in him the spark that most men hide. He did not hire Barnes for skill. He accepted him for desire, and that desire made him rich. Now contrast that with the story of R.U. Darby, who mined for gold in Colorado. After months of labor, he found a vein, but quit when the gold seemed to vanish. He sold his machinery for a few dollars. The buyer, guided by persistence and a mining engineer's counsel, discovered that Darby had stopped digging 3 feet from gold. Darby's defeat was not due to lack of opportunity. It was due to cooling desire. His fire went out at the very moment heat was most required. Desire, once kindled, must be guarded as sacred flame. Let it cool, and life returns to gray mediocrity. Keep it burning, and even the impossible softens. The difference between those two outcomes is not chance. It is temperature. The fire of desire is the fuel that carries faith through fatigue, reason through ridicule, and will through every wall of opposition. Every man must decide what he will desire most. Nature offers no compromise. You may desire comfort, or you may desire conquest, but you cannot serve both. The man who desires ease will always find excuse. The man who desires victory will find method. Every difficulty contains 2 doors, the door of retreat and the door of advancement. The timid open the first, the burning man breaks the second. Understand this law. Desire purifies all weakness. When you desire something with such intensity that all thought, emotion, and will are bent upon it, you become a new being. You breathe differently. You rise earlier. You speak with conviction. You no longer drift, because the flame of purpose propels you. The faint-hearted call you obsessed. The wise call you destined. The man of burning desire has no room for fear. Fear and fire cannot live together. Fear paralyzes, desire moves. When your heart is aflame, hesitation becomes impossible. You cannot doubt a thing you already feel burning within you. That is why all miracles begin in emotion before they become reason. The heart leads, the mind follows. Desire also purifies motive. The selfish man burns briefly, for lust exhausts itself. But noble desire, desire to create, to uplift, to master, endures because it aligns with the highest law of the universe, increase. Andrew Carnegie's fortune was not the product of greed, but of the desire to build, to organize, to serve humanity through industry. His desire multiplied itself by serving others, and in doing so, made him one of the richest and most respected men of his time. Selfish desire consumes, creative desire produces. The difference is direction. When you desire in harmony with growth, the world conspires to assist you. When you desire against growth, the same law turns against you. Desire, therefore, must not be merely burning, it must be right. Let me ask you, what do you desire so fiercely that you would endure ridicule, fatigue, and solitude to obtain it? If you cannot answer, you have not yet lived. A man without desire is a man already defeated. He rises, he works, he eats, he sleeps, but he does not live. His fire has gone out, and though he walks among the living, he belongs to the ashes. To awaken this fire, begin at once to define your desire clearly. Write it in exact words, as though engraving upon steel. If your aim is wealth, define the amount, the method, and the date. If your aim is mastery, define the skill, the standard, and the plan. The mind cannot burn for vague shadows. It ignites only for a definite picture. When you write it, read it aloud daily. Read it with feeling. See it, smell it, touch it in imagination until the line between dream and fact dissolves. Emotion is the fuel of the subconscious. Dry words are ignored, but burning words become law. Say aloud this affirmation until your spirit vibrates with conviction. My desire burns beyond fear. I demand success and life yields. My heart is the furnace of destiny. Speak it when you wake. Speak it before you sleep. Speak it whenever hesitation appears. Words charged with emotion engrave themselves upon the mind like fire upon iron. Do not be deceived by comfort. Comfort is the extinguisher of ambition. It whispers, "You have done enough," when you have barely begun. It tempts you with pleasure in exchange for purpose. The man who yields to comfort loses his flame. The man who rejects comfort commands destiny. No great builder, inventor, or conqueror ever found success in comfort. They found it in effort, and effort made them alive. To maintain burning desire, you must feed it daily with imagination and gratitude. Picture the reward as already yours. Feel the satisfaction in advance. Gratitude for what is yet unseen is the highest act of faith, for it declares, "I know this is coming because I already possess it in spirit." Barnes did not wait to feel successful. He felt it long before Edison called him partner. That feeling drew opportunity like a magnet. Desire transforms you into the kind of man the world pays attention to. It sharpens your voice, steadies your eye, and adds gravity to your words. People sense it and yield to it unconsciously. You must also protect your fire from thieves. There are men and women who live to extinguish others' flames. They mock, they doubt, they warn, they advise mediocrity as wisdom. Their words are water. Do not let them near your flame. A single careless conversation can undo days of progress. Keep your vision secret until it is strong enough to withstand ridicule. Every day ask yourself one question. What have I done to feed my desire today? Desire grows by use. Idle desire cools. Take one step daily. Study, plan, act, imagine, affirm. But do not let a single day pass in neglect. The fire unattended becomes smoke. The greatest tragedy of life is not failure, it is tepidness. It is the soul that neither burns nor freezes, but drifts in lukewarm existence. Such men achieve nothing, offend no one, and are remembered by none. Better to burn out in pursuit of greatness than to rust in cautious comfort. The ashes of effort are more sacred than the dust of safety. When your desire is pure and constant, obstacles transform into servants. Each resistance feeds your flame. Failure becomes friction that produces heat. Criticism becomes wind that fans the fire. Delay becomes the fuel of preparation. The universe itself begins to feed you because you have become a living embodiment of motion. Remember this: desire is energy borrowed from infinite intelligence. You do not create it, you channel it. When your desire serves growth, the infinite pours through you like electricity through wire. When you doubt, the current weakens. Keep your wire clean, free from fear, free from vanity, free from laziness, and power will flow without end. Do not confuse excitement with desire. Excitement flickers. Desire endures. Excitement depends on circumstance. Desire creates circumstance. Excitement speaks loudly and fades quickly. Desire speaks quietly, but never stops. At night, before sleep, close your eyes and see your goal surrounded by flame. Feel that flame within your chest. Whisper, "I will have this. I must have this. I already possess this." Fall asleep upon that thought. The subconscious, unguarded during sleep, will receive it and build it into your reality. There is a reason most men accomplish little. Their desire is borrowed, not born. They wish for what others have, not for what their soul demands. Such imitation lacks power. True desire rises from within and feels inevitable. It carries the tone of destiny, not envy. When you discover that desire, life itself conspires to fulfill it. The man of desire saves 10, 20, 30 years of aimless wandering. He does not drift through unchosen occupations or half-hearted ventures. He moves directly, relentlessly, with eyes fixed on a single prize. Every day of indecision you erase through desire. Every year of drift you replace with progress. That is why desire is not merely emotion, it is time condensed. Now imagine 30 years from now looking back at this very day. Will you say, "That was the moment I lit the fire"? Will you remember this as the turning point when your life stopped wandering and began advancing? If so, then act now. The longer you wait, the colder the ashes grow. Write your desire. Speak it. Picture it. Feed it. Guard it. Live by it. For once it burns within you, nothing external can extinguish it. The man with fire in his heart will always defeat the man with fear in his mind. So I say unto you, desire as though the future depended on it, because it does. Desire with such power that even heaven takes notice. Desire so purely that your very presence commands opportunity to kneel. For the fire of desire is life's greatest force, and the man who keeps it burning finds that even the impossible bends to his will. Part 3. The irrevocable decision. Close every door but the one that leads forward. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must draw a line across his path and say, "Beyond this point, there is no retreat." Until that moment, he drifts. After that moment, he begins to live. Decision is the fulcrum upon which destiny turns. The average man toys with choices, but the superior man decides once, and then obeys his decision as though it were law. He does not debate with his purpose, he commands it. The reason most men fail is not because they lack opportunity, but because they cannot make up their minds to seize it. Their energy leaks through hesitation. They plan, they ponder, they delay. They ask advice from those who have never succeeded. They seek guarantees where none exist. They talk until their fire cools, and when they finally act, the hour has passed. The man of decision, by contrast, seizes the moment while it is hot and shapes it before it hardens. Andrew Carnegie decided once and for all that he would master the steel industry. There was no if, no perhaps, no unless. From that hour forward, every thought, every association, every act of labor served that one end. When men mocked his ambition, he smiled. When the market faltered, he persisted. When competitors threatened, he bought them. That single decision shaped his life, his fortune, and an entire age of industry. Abraham Lincoln decided once to preserve the Union. That decision did not waver through defeat, assassination attempts, or the blood of half a nation. It was not emotion. It was principle fixed like iron. Decision gave him strength that no circumstance could bend. When the timid urged compromise, he said calmly, "I cannot go back." That is the sound of decision. It is the voice of destiny speaking through man. Every man who succeeds has this trait in common. Once he chooses, he never looks backward. The moment of choice is the moment he severs all retreat. Cortez burned his ships so his men would conquer or die. Ford burned his doubts so his mind could only create. The universe bends to the man who refuses to bend his will. The average man hesitates because he keeps doors open behind him. He tells himself, "If this fails, I will try another path." But that very thought guarantees mediocrity. The man who leaves a bridge unburned will always be tempted to cross back. He weakens his own courage by giving himself an escape. Decision gains its power only when all exits are closed. Write your definite aim upon paper. Beneath it, list every distraction, every habit, every comfort that keeps you from it. Then, with deliberate motion, strike through each one in ink. This is no childish ritual. It is the symbolic act of burning the ships. You will feel a strange calm follow, for the mind, once it knows there is no retreat, finds new strength to advance. A decision must be final. Half decisions drain the spirit. You cannot hold faith and fear in the same thought. You cannot be half committed to greatness and half enslaved to comfort. The mind obeys the dominant command, and indecision issues none. When you decide completely, your entire being unites in one direction. Confusion disappears, clarity appears. Every great decision requires courage. You must be willing to look uncertainty in the face and smile. Fear says, "Wait until the path is safe." Faith says, "The path becomes safe when I walk it." The timid man studies the bridge until it collapses. The bold man crosses and builds another on the other side. Decision transforms the ordinary man into a leader. Others sense certainty as they sense heat. The undecided man infects others with doubt. The decisive man fills them with confidence. When you know what you will do, the world begins to know it too. Circumstances align to serve those who act without hesitation. Most men waste years debating what they already know they should do. They pray for signs when the answer has been in their hearts all along. To decide is not to discover. It is to obey what you already know. There is no mystery about right direction. There is only fear of commitment. Say aloud this affirmation. I decide once and for all. My will is law. My choice is permanent. Speak it until you feel the weight of its truth. Each time you hesitate thereafter, recall it. Remind yourself that delay is death to opportunity. The man who waits for certainty never finds it because certainty appears only after action. A true decision simplifies life. You no longer question what to do each day. You already know. Your plan becomes automatic. Your will becomes consistent. The energy once wasted in debate now flows entirely toward execution. Decision is energy released from the chains of confusion. When you decide with finality, you also discover peace. Doubt is mental friction. Decision is order. The undecided man sleeps poorly because his mind pulls in opposite directions. The decided man sleeps soundly because his path is clear. Even when trouble comes, he is calm. The world admires the man who knows what he wants, even if it opposes him. Do not fear wrong decisions. The worst choice made with conviction is superior to perfect hesitation. Life will correct the bold, but it will abandon the timid. Every mistake contains instruction. Every pause contains decay. You cannot steer a ship that will not move. History proves that the greatest advances came from men who decided quickly and adjusted as they went. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, all acted before others agreed with them. They did not wait for permission. They issued their own. Their minds were made up long before the results appeared. That is why their results could not fail to appear. Understand this: the universe assists the man who commits. Half-hearted action receives half-hearted support. The law of cause and effect requires full investment. When your decision is complete, unseen forces begin their work. Opportunities emerge. Allies appear. Coincidences multiply. What you once called luck is merely life aligning with your will. Decision is also moral power. It teaches integrity, for you cannot decide firmly and live falsely. A man who keeps his word with himself soon commands respect from others. Each promise fulfilled to your own conscience strengthens your spirit. Each promise broken weakens it. The first man you must never deceive is yourself. Exercise the muscle of decision daily. Begin with small matters. Rise at the hour you choose. Complete each task as planned. Keep every promise. These minor victories train the subconscious to obey your will. Soon, larger decisions become effortless, and you find yourself acting without hesitation in matters where others tremble. Decision and faith are brothers. Faith begins where decision refuses to end. When you decide completely, you step beyond reason into belief. You say, "Though I cannot see the bridge, I will cross." And as you walk, the bridge appears beneath your feet. Faith follows decision as surely as day follows night. Do not confuse decision with desire. Desire wishes. Decision wills. Desire says, "I want." Decision says, "I choose." Desire attracts. Decision commands. The difference is finality. The world forgives desire but rewards decision. You must also learn to protect your decision from interference. The opinions of others are the most dangerous form of sabotage. Friends, family, and critics will seek to unmake your resolve. They will project their fears upon your purpose. Hear them if you must, but obey them never. Remember, most advice is confession. When a man says, "It cannot be done," he is only admitting that he cannot do it. In the early days of his vision, Ford was told by dozens of investors that the public did not want automobiles. "Horses are reliable," they said. Ford decided otherwise. He did not argue. He acted. That is the only argument that ever convinces the world. Results. Decision also reveals character. The strong man decides in silence. The weak man delays aloud. A great decision requires solitude. Take time alone to know your purpose, then emerge with it written upon your face. Others will see it there and move aside. From this day forward, eliminate the word maybe from your vocabulary. It is the language of failure. Replace it with yes or no. Life favors the definite. Even if you choose wrongly, the habit of certainty will eventually bring you to rightness. But indecision can never lead anywhere. When the mind has truly decided, energy appears. Fatigue vanishes, distraction dissolves, and time expands. Each morning brings clarity because you no longer divide your effort among possibilities. You are marching toward one aim, and your entire being moves in harmony. That harmony is what the world calls genius. If you have not yet made your great decision, make it now. Choose your definite chief aim and swear allegiance to it. Promise yourself that you will not reconsider until success is achieved. Then destroy all alternatives, all backups, all crutches. Let the bridge burn. Let retreat become impossible. You will find, to your astonishment, that the destruction of escape gives birth to courage. This act will save you years of wandering. Most men lose decades changing course, questioning direction, revising plans. The man who decides once moves faster in 1 year than the hesitant move in 10. When you remove the option of turning back, every obstacle becomes a step forward. Now say with conviction, I decide once and for all. My will is law. My choice is permanent. Say it again until the mind accepts it as a command. When the subconscious receives this order, all mental conflict ceases. You become a single unit of power, and that unity, once achieved, cannot fail. From this moment, act as though your path were already written in the stars. Let no day pass without movement toward it. Do not apologize for your decision. Do not explain it. Do not seek approval. The world respects the man who knows where he is going more than the one who asks for directions. The time for hesitation is over. You have dreamed enough, delayed enough, doubted enough. The door before you is open, but it will not stay open forever. Decide, step through, then close it behind you. The world awaits the sound of your footsteps marching forward, never to turn back. For every victory begins at the grave of maybe. Part 4. The armor of certainty. How to walk as the man who cannot lose. Confidence is the armor of the spirit. It is the invisible shield that guards you against fear, criticism, and doubt. Without it, a man may possess knowledge, opportunity, and skill, and yet fail before the first blow is struck. With it, even ignorance becomes boldness, and boldness conquers. The man who carries confidence walks as though victory already belonged to him, and because life obeys conviction, it soon does. Understand this truth. The world takes a man at his own estimate. If you walk timidly, apologetically, uncertainly, the world mirrors that weakness and treats you accordingly. If you walk with the quiet dignity of one who knows his worth, life itself salutes you. Confidence is not arrogance, it is certainty without noise. Arrogance shouts to cover emptiness. Confidence moves in silence because it already possesses fullness. Napoleon Bonaparte conquered empires through confidence before he conquered them through arms. His armies believed in his destiny because he believed in it himself. When his assurance faltered, his empire followed. Confidence is magnetic. Its loss is contagious, but so is its presence. The same law governs business, art, invention, and leadership. The man who radiates calm conviction multiplies the faith of others. Henry Ford was not merely a manufacturer of machines, he was a manufacturer of faith. His engineers doubted the possibility of the V8 engine. Ford's reply was simple: build it anyway. They obeyed because his confidence made doubt seem foolish. He did not argue with failure, he ignored it. That is the essence of power, to act as though success were already secured. Thomas Edison possessed the same quiet certainty. He could labor for years in pursuit of a single idea because he never questioned its outcome. To him, every failure was progress. Confidence made patience possible. The man who doubts himself demands results too soon. The man who believes in himself endures until results appear. The average man waits for confidence to arrive as if it were a guest who must be invited. But confidence does not come to the hesitant. It comes to the doer. Action breeds confidence. Inaction breeds doubt. Each small victory strengthens self-belief until it becomes unshakable. Begin anywhere. Begin badly if you must, but begin. Confidence will join you on the road, never in the armchair. You must think of confidence not as mood, but as discipline. It is a mental posture chosen deliberately each morning. When you rise, stand tall, breathe deeply, look upward, and speak aloud. I am calm, sure, unshakable. My confidence commands success. Do this daily until your body obeys your spirit. Posture is a form of prayer. It teaches the body to follow the mind. Guard your speech. Every self-deprecating remark weakens the armor. The tongue is a sword that cuts both ways. It can wound your enemies or your own faith. Never confess limitation. Never speak of yourself as unlucky, nervous, or incapable. The subconscious mind listens and obeys. What you repeat, you become. Confidence grows by recognition. Each evening, write one success of the day, however small. Record it, dwell upon it. The mind expands toward what it remembers. To recall victory is to invite more of it. To rehearse failure is to multiply it. The man who nightly reviews his triumphs builds an invisible fortress around his spirit. Confidence is also maintained by mastery. You cannot feel certain while ignorant. The craftsman who studies his trade until excellence becomes instinct walks into any challenge with calm assurance. He does not hope, he knows. And knowledge, when joined to belief, becomes power in its purest form. Therefore, perfect your skill until confidence becomes natural, not forced. Understand that others sense confidence as animals sense fear. They do not need proof, they feel it. The handshake, the tone, the gaze, each reveals whether a man trusts himself. Opportunities, like people, are drawn to certainty and repelled by hesitation. If you wish to attract wealth, leadership, or love, carry yourself as though you deserve them. This law is precise. What you feel about yourself determines what others feel about you. Ford's workers labored harder because they felt his assurance. Carnegie's managers outperformed rivals because his confidence magnified their own. Rockefeller's calm steadiness guided whole industries through panic. These men were living examples of composure made contagious. Confidence also repels ridicule. The mocker depends upon your doubt to wound you. When he strikes and finds no reaction, his laughter dies in his throat. The confident man disarms criticism by indifference. He knows that the opinions of others cannot alter truth. The noise of small men never disturbs the peace of great ones. When you begin to walk with confidence, your environment will change. New opportunities will approach you as though they were waiting for permission. Strangers will treat you with deference. Old acquaintances will look at you with new curiosity. Nothing mystical is happening. Only the law of mental correspondence. The outer world always adjusts to the inner world. Confidence must, however, be founded upon moral certainty. It is not bluff or deceit. It is the quiet alignment of self with purpose. The liar, the coward, the cheat can imitate confidence for a moment, but guilt betrays them. The man who lives by principle stands unafraid because his conscience is clean. Nothing strengthens confidence more than integrity. When your word and your will are one, even the heavens seem to assist you. Do not mistake humility for weakness. True humility is the recognition of one's power as gift and responsibility. It does not deny ability, it dignifies it. The humble man is confident without vanity because he knows his strength serves more than himself. Such confidence is spiritual armor, invincible yet silent. Every doubt must be confronted and dismissed. Doubt is a parasite that feeds upon imagination. It whispers, "What if you fail?" Answer it at once, "I cannot fail, for I do not permit the thought." The repetition of confidence ingrains immunity. Soon, doubt will knock and find the door locked. Confidence also commands time. The hesitant man wastes years seeking assurance from others. The confident man acts, learns, and adjusts within months. Thus he compresses decades into seasons. Confidence saves life's most precious commodity, time. When fatigue, delay, or criticism strike, recall this affirmation: I think victory, I speak victory, I act victory. Each repetition strengthens mental armor. The battle is always inward before it is outward. Once conviction holds inside, events rearrange outside. Even in defeat, maintain confidence. Temporary setbacks are tests of poise. The world observes how you carry loss to decide how soon to return success. The man who remains composed when fortunes fall proves that he governs himself, and the universe trusts those who can govern. Confidence also heals. Fear contracts the body, faith expands it, worry shortens breath, assurance deepens it. The confident man radiates health because his energy flows unobstructed. Doctors may call it vitality, but it is simply peace expressing itself through flesh. Confidence is contagious in commerce. When two men negotiate, the one more certain wins, even if his position is weaker. Why? Because certainty creates perception, and perception creates reality. People follow conviction instinctively. Therefore, never enter a room asking whether you belong. Enter as though you were invited by destiny itself. To cultivate this composure, remember small victories often. The soldier polishes his armor daily, not because it is dented, but because it must remain bright. Likewise, polish your self-belief through constant affirmation and remembrance. There will be moments when criticism shakes you, when plans falter, when solitude presses heavy. In those hours, withdraw inward. Picture yourself surrounded by light, tall, unbending, serene. Whisper, I am calm, sure, unshakable. My confidence commands success. The words will reignite your composure as surely as breath revives a flame. Confidence, once constant, becomes atmosphere. It precedes you into rooms, lingers after you depart, and influences events without effort. Others sense it without knowing why they feel safer, stronger, or more hopeful in your presence. This is leadership in its purest form, the silent persuasion of certainty. But guard against pride. Confidence turns to arrogance the moment it forgets gratitude. Always remember the source from which your power flows. Give thanks that you are a channel of infinite intelligence. Humility anchors confidence to reality, keeping it steady when praise or success might otherwise intoxicate. The final proof of confidence is composure in crisis. When chaos rises, remain still. The storm that terrifies others is your stage to display mastery. The calm man in confusion becomes the natural commander, for men seek direction where they find peace. Confidence, expressed as calm, conquers without resistance. Let this become your creed. I am the man who cannot lose because I refuse to doubt. Say it not with arrogance, but with serenity. Believe it until even your enemies believe it for you. For the man who carries this quiet assurance walks through life untouchable, armored not in steel but in spirit. When you reach this state, your steps will change, your tone will change, your very atmosphere will change. You will feel an invisible weight of dignity, and others will feel it too. You will cease asking for permission to succeed. You will simply live success until the world adjusts to your certainty. Confidence is invisible wealth, the kind no man can steal, no market can crash, and no age can diminish. Those who spend it multiply it. Those who guard it grow richer. Wear it daily, sleep in it nightly, and let your life declare without words, here walks a man who cannot lose. Part 5, Faith in Motion. When belief becomes a physical force, there is a gulf between the man who believes and does nothing and the man who believes and moves. Faith without action is only fragrance without flower. It perfumes the air but bears no fruit. To believe is divine, but to act upon belief is power. The invisible becomes visible only when translated into motion. When belief moves the hands, the feet, the voice, the world bends to it. Faith is the architect of destiny, but action is the builder. The greatest ideas ever born remained ghosts in the minds of their dreamers because those men failed to take the first bold step. You cannot think yourself rich and sit still. You cannot pray for victory while remaining in hiding. Heaven itself helps only the man who moves. Faith must have feet. Look at the lives of those who mastered life's law. Henry Ford did not wait for favorable conditions to begin his work. He started with no money, no reputation, no machinery, only faith. He built his dream first in his mind, then in his hands. When the world called him foolish, he answered not with argument, but with engines. His factories were his proof. That is faith in motion, belief translated into creation. John D. Rockefeller moved upon faith when the market crashed and panic swept the land. Men sold their holdings in terror. Rockefeller bought. He had faith in order when others saw chaos, faith in value when others saw ruin. Because of that one decision born of faith, he multiplied his fortune while others lost theirs. Faith made visible becomes foresight. Action gives it profit. Faith is not reckless impulse. It is calm conviction expressed through deliberate movement. It does not rush blindly, it steps firmly. The man of faith walks by inner sight, not by outer light. He acts as though he has already won, and the universe adjusts to his certainty. The timid man says, "When conditions are right, I will begin." The man of faith says, "I will begin, and conditions will become right." This is the difference between waiting for miracles and commanding them. Nature bows to the man who dares to act as though she had already consented. Understand this principle. Belief is the plan, action is the evidence. The subconscious mind does not fully believe until the body obeys. You may affirm 1,000 times, but if your feet never move, your spirit remains unconvinced. Every act taken in faith is a declaration to the subconscious, "I mean it." When the subconscious is thus persuaded, the external world must respond. Take one courageous action daily in the direction of your definite aim. Do not wait for courage to arrive. Action itself breeds courage. Fear dissolves in movement as shadow vanishes in light. There is no fear in walking, only in waiting. Edison's laboratory was not a temple of theory, but of experiment. His faith was made of wires, filaments, and the dust of failure. 10,000 times he acted, and 10,000 times faith carried him to the next attempt. His lamp was not invented in the mind alone. It was born in hands that refused to stop moving. Every time you act upon faith, invisible forces quicken to your aid. Doors open that remain shut. The right people appear as though summoned. Fortune is drawn to motion as surely as iron to magnet. But those who wait for signs wait forever, for the sign is always given to the man who already moved. Write upon your wall these words: I act on faith. I move as though success were assured. My steps are guided by infinite intelligence. Speak them aloud each morning until you feel power rising from within. Then move without hesitation toward the thing you seek. The law of compensation guarantees that your steps will not return void. The moment you begin to act, uncertainty turns to energy. Hesitation drains, action charges. The man who works with faith never tires, for his labor feeds him. Doubt starves effort. Faith nourishes it. A day of believing movement accomplishes more than a year of fearful delay. Do not concern yourself with the outcome of every action. Faith does not demand to see results. It creates them. When you sow a seed, you do not dig it up daily to check its progress. You water it, shield it, and trust the law. So it is with every act of faith. The harvest will come in its season, provided you keep moving. If you stumble, move again. If you fall, move again. If you fail, act again. The act itself cleanses the mind of defeat. The difference between the master and the drifter is not intelligence or opportunity, it is motion. The drifter stands still, the master steps forward while others talk. Faith in motion also influences others. Men are drawn to certainty in action as ships are drawn to harbor lights. When you act boldly, others find courage to follow. Leaders are not born. They are made by movement. Every army follows the first man who advances without waiting for orders. Andrew Carnegie began life as a telegraph boy. He did not wait for opportunity to call upon him. He moved, he volunteered for extra work, studied at night, and turned every task into proof of faith. That movement drew the notice of powerful men, and those men became the bridges to his empire. His first step created the road. Faith without movement is self-deception. It is the man who prays for harvest but never plants. It is the dreamer who builds castles in thought but never lays a single stone. The world owes no reward to intention. It pays only for execution. There is a holy rhythm between faith and motion. Believe, move, believe again. Each cycle strengthens the next. Faith gives direction. Motion gives proof. Proof deepens faith. This rhythm is the pulse of success. To stop moving is to interrupt life circulation. Let this exercise become your daily law. Before the day begins, write one act that will advance your definite aim. Perform it before you allow doubt to whisper. Act while faith is warm. At day's end, record what occurred as result. You will soon see a chain of cause and effect so powerful that it will make you marvel at how quickly life responds to conviction. Do not wait for faith to feel perfect. Faith grows stronger only when tested by motion. The first step may tremble, the next will steady. The bridge appears only beneath the feet that walk upon it. The man who demands proof before moving dies waiting at the shore. When panic, criticism, or delay confront you, move faster. Boldness disarms adversity. Life respects the man who refuses to halt. Ford advanced through lawsuits, mockery, and sabotage because he understood that momentum itself is protection. Stagnation is decay. Motion is life. Remember always, action is faith's language. Speak it daily. If your belief is great but your deeds are small, your results will shrink to match. But if your actions are large, your faith will grow to fill them. Begin with deeds, and faith will swell like a tide. Even prayer must be followed by motion. To pray for opportunity and ignore the knock at your door is to mock your own request. The universe answers through events, not miracles. The faithful man knows that every coincidence is a command to move. When you act with unwavering belief, fear retreats. The timid will call you reckless, but they mistake faith for folly because they have never seen certainty in flesh. The man of faith looks foolish for a season and a genius for a lifetime. History remembers only the results, never the ridicule. Faith in motion creates harmony between the visible and invisible worlds. Each step you take on earth sends a vibration through heaven, summoning unseen assistance. Call it providence, call it infinite intelligence, it matters not. It is the law that thought clothed in action draws power from beyond itself. Practice this. Each evening, review your day and mark the moments when you hesitated. Ask, what act of faith did I postpone? Then, without delay, plan how to complete it tomorrow. Let no opportunity expire through inaction. The world rewards promptness because promptness is faith materialized. Action born of faith must also be directed by intelligence. Do not confuse movement with progress. The blind rush in circles. The wise move straight. Before you act, consult your purpose. Ask, does this step advance my aim? If yes, move at once. If not, discard it. Purpose purifies motion. Faith in motion also demands persistence. One step does not prove belief. 30 days of unbroken steps ingrains it. Continue daily, regardless of results. Faith grows by constancy. The river carves the stone, not by force, but by unceasing flow. When fatigue whispers, remember. You are animated by infinite power. You are not a candle, but a conduit. The same energy that guides the stars guides your hand. Each motion taken in that awareness becomes sacred. Repeat this affirmation before every task. I act on faith. I move as though success were assured. My steps are guided by infinite intelligence. Speak it until you feel a warmth in your chest, a calm determination in your mind. Then act immediately. Do not pause for doubt to recover. Action converts fear into respect, first in yourself, then in others. The man who acts when others hesitate earns admiration, even from his enemies. The sight of courage awakens hidden faith in those who witness it. Thus, your movement uplifts more than your own destiny. It becomes a beacon for others still trapped in thought. If you would live as though failure did not exist, you must act as though delay were death. Move now, move today. Life has no patience for hesitation, and fortune belongs to the man who begins. The world remembers not the one who planned perfectly, but the one who dared completely. The universe moves for those who move. Stand still, and you are bypassed by opportunity. Stride forward, and opportunity falls in step beside you. Every great success is the story of a man who acted when others waited. Let yours be the same. And when the years have passed, and men ask how you built your fortune, you will answer with simplicity. I believed and I moved, for that is all faith ever required. Part 6, the discipline of immortality. Persist until the world breaks before you do. There are two kinds of men: those who stop when the world resists them, and those who persist until the world yields. The first die forgotten, the second become immortal. Persistence is the test of belief, the proof of desire, the measure of faith. Every law of success bends to it, for persistence is the fire that keeps all other powers alive. Desire may kindle the flame, faith may guide it, but persistence is the hand that guards it from the wind. No man ever failed while he still refused to quit. Every defeat is temporary to the man who will not surrender. The universe has no weapon against endurance. It can delay, but it cannot deny. It can exhaust the body, but it cannot touch the will of one who has determined never to yield. Such a man is beyond the reach of chance. He belongs to law. Every great name in history is written in the language of persistence. Thomas Edison did not stumble upon the electric light by inspiration, but by persistence so relentless that lesser men thought him insane. He failed 10,000 times, and each failure became another brick in his tower of triumph. The timid saw defeat, he saw direction. He once said, "I have not failed. I've found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is the speech of immortality. Are you Darby in contrast? Quit 3 feet from gold. His uncle's mine had nearly yielded fortune, yet he stopped digging when resistance grew hardest. Another man took his place, dug 3 feet further, and struck the vein that Darby's persistence would have claimed. That is the cost of quitting. It is not the loss of what you have done, but of what was about to be born. The road to success is littered not with the bones of the unworthy, but with those who surrendered one step before victory. Abraham Lincoln knew more defeat than most men could bear. He lost elections, buried children, suffered ridicule, and shouldered a war that tore a nation apart. Yet his persistence turned tragedy into immortality. Every blow carved strength into his spirit until he became a man no force could move. His story proves that the measure of greatness is not the absence of failure, but the refusal to acknowledge it as final. Persistence is not loud. It is silent, steady, stubborn endurance. It does not boast. It endures. It does not demand comfort. It creates it. It asks for no sympathy, expects no rescue, and gives no excuses. It is the calm voice within that says, "Once more." When others rest, it works. When others despair, it continues. When others die, it begins again. The average man begins with enthusiasm and ends with apology. He starts in the heat of emotion and quits in the chill of fatigue. He mistakes excitement for strength and calls surrender prudence. But the man of persistence treats emotion as fuel, not master. He works in silence long after applause has ceased. He builds while others talk. The secret of persistence lies in purpose. You cannot endure long for a cause you do not love. The drifter tires because he works without meaning. The master endures because he serves an ideal greater than himself. Ford endured humiliation and lawsuits because he believed in giving mobility to mankind. Edison endured darkness because he believed the world deserved light. When your aim is noble enough, pain becomes privilege. For 30 days, make persistence your sacred law. Do not break the chain once. If you have chosen a definite aim, touch it daily. Act toward it every day without exception. Whether tired, sick, or discouraged, continue. Each unbroken day forges another link in a chain that nothing can tear. After 30 days, you will discover a strange power awakening, a momentum that carries you even when your will falters. That is habit, the brother of persistence. Write this affirmation and speak it aloud each morning. I persist until I succeed. I continue until I conquer. Each day adds weight to my purpose. Say it until the words harden into fact. Each repetition deepens the groove of endurance into your character until quitting becomes unnatural. The law of persistence is impartial. It rewards the laborer, the inventor, the leader, the dreamer alike. What men call talent is often only endurance refined. Many geniuses have failed for lack of persistence, and many ordinary men have risen to power because they refuse to stop. The mountain yields not to brilliance, but to those who continue to climb. Persistence is the bridge between faith and result. Faith begins the journey. Persistence finishes it. Every test that life sends is a question. How much do you truly want this? If you answer by continuing, the gate opens. If you hesitate, it closes. You cannot deceive the law by temporary zeal. It demands consistency. Fatigue will come, discouragement will come, even betrayal will come. These are the taxes life charges for greatness. Pay them with gratitude, for they prove that you are on the path worth walking. The man who faces no opposition is moving toward nothing. Adversity is evidence of direction. Remember this truth. Your greatest strength lies not in talent, nor education, nor opportunity. It lies in your ability to outlast difficulty. The world eventually yields to the one who remains after all others have withdrawn. Time, which destroys the weak, crowns the persistent. Lincoln once said that he walked slowly, but never backward. That is persistence defined. The pace does not matter. Only direction does. The smallest step forward is greater than a mile of retreat. Let others run and tire. You advance one steady pace, and you will find yourself ahead when their excitement has faded. You must learn to love the struggle. The weak despise it. The wise embrace it. Each obstacle you overcome becomes a deposit in the bank of character. Each trial strengthens your muscles of courage. A man who is never tested remains unproven. A man who endures becomes unbreakable. The world trusts endurance more than brilliance, for endurance guarantees completion. Persistence also silences fear. Fear thrives in inactivity. When you keep moving, fear cannot keep up. It shouts from behind, but loses breath as you advance. Many men think they must destroy fear before acting, but the opposite is true. Action destroys fear. There is a rhythm to persistence. Decision, discipline, endurance, reward. Break the rhythm and you start again from the beginning. Continue, and the rhythm becomes natural, effortless. The habit of persistence transforms into second nature. What once required struggle becomes instinct. That is the point of mastery. Even the earth itself is a monument to persistence. Water, softer than stone, shapes mountains through ceaseless motion. A seed, buried in darkness, breaks stone to reach the sun. Nature teaches that victory belongs not to strength, but to constancy. The law that governs the rivers and the stars governs you also. When men mock you, persist. When fortune delays, persist. When your own heart grows weary, persist still. The world respects only the man who endures ridicule long enough to outlive it. Every critic becomes silent when faced with endurance that refuses to die. Persistence transforms temporary defeat into permanent wisdom. Each failure, examined without bitterness, yields instruction. The man who quits learns nothing. The man who endures learns everything. Thus, persistence makes defeat useful, and no time is wasted. Keep before you the image of your goal, shining like a star beyond the storm. When the winds rise, fix your eyes on that light. Each step, each hardship, each day survived brings you nearer. Tell yourself, if I do not stop, I cannot fail. That is not hope. It is law. You will discover that persistence is not merely a discipline of labor, but of spirit. It is faith expressed through endurance. It is the refusal to allow circumstance to dictate your state of mind. The persistent man remains inwardly calm while the world shakes, because he has learned that time is his ally. Every man who has reached greatness has passed through nights of solitude when no one believed, when nothing seemed to work, when the heart whispered surrender. In that darkness, persistence is the single candle that keeps the soul alive. Guard it, feed it, protect it, for when others' lights go out, yours will guide you home. Think of your persistence as proof to infinite intelligence that you are worthy of what you desire. The universe does not grant riches or greatness cheaply. It demands assurance that you will use them wisely. Persistence is your proof. Each day you continue, you declare, I am ready. The habit of persistence saves years of wandering. The drifter begins and quits 100 ventures, living a lifetime of half-built bridges. The persistent man builds one bridge completely and crosses it to wealth, peace, and mastery. 10 years of drifting can be redeemed by 30 days of unbroken persistence. Before you sleep tonight, write these words and keep them where your eyes will meet them each dawn. I persist until I succeed. I continue until I conquer. Each day adds weight to my purpose. Let them be the first words you see and the last words you recall. They will sink deep into the soil of your mind and grow roots of steel. One day soon, the world will bow to your endurance. The same people who once doubted you will call you fortunate. They will not see the years of persistence. They will see only the harvest. Let them believe what they will. You will know the truth, that persistence, not luck, built your fortune. Hold to this creed. I will persist until the world breaks before I do. When you live by it, every trial becomes temporary. Every delay becomes a step. Every defeat becomes a teacher. You become unbreakable, not because life spares you, but because you refuse to yield. That is the discipline of immortality, to persist until time itself surrenders. Part 7, the brotherhood of power. Build a circle that refuses to doubt. No man can remain strong alone forever. Even the mightiest oak draws its power from the unseen roots of the forest. Every empire, every invention, every fortune that has ever endured was built upon the cooperation of minds united by faith. The man who believes he can succeed alone will one day exhaust his courage. But the man who surrounds himself with others who refuse to doubt will multiply his strength beyond measure. This is the mastermind principle, the law of harmonious alliance. When two or more minds are joined in a spirit of perfect faith and definite purpose, they form a third mind, invisible yet real, a greater intelligence than any single member could possess. It is as though infinite intelligence itself steps in to guide them, for harmony invites divine power. Andrew Carnegie built his vast steel empire not with iron, but with men. Schwab, Frick, and a dozen others stood with him in absolute harmony. Their thoughts blended into one invincible purpose. They did not always agree, but they never opposed. Each man's genius sharpened the others. Each man's faith strengthened the others. The result was an organization that turned raw ore into empire. Henry Ford, too, understood this law. Though the world mocked his dream, he found allies who shared his belief, engineers, financiers, workers, each drawn to him by the magnetism of his faith. Together, they formed a living machine greater than any engine they produced. Alone, Ford would have been a visionary. United, they became a revolution. You cannot maintain faith indefinitely in the presence of doubt. The human mind, though powerful, absorbs the atmosphere it inhabits. Surround yourself with cynics, and your strength will decay as surely as iron rusts in salt air. Associate with believers, and your spirit will blaze like a furnace. Your environment is not neutral. It is either fertilizer or poison. Choose it as carefully as you would choose the air you breathe. Make an honest inventory of your associations. Write down the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. Ask of each, do they strengthen my faith or weaken it? Do they multiply my courage or divide it? Do they believe in my purpose or do they secretly doubt it? The answers will determine your destiny. For no man can rise above the quality of the minds with which he communes daily. Remove from your circle the chronic doubter, the critic, the mocker. They are poisoners of power. They infect enthusiasm, disguise fear as wisdom, and call surrender realism. They will not admit they are cowards. They will merely smile when you speak of greatness. but their smile is the rust of disbelief, and if you do not guard your spirit, it will corrode your faith until your dreams crumble. Seek instead those rare souls whose eyes brighten when you speak of possibility. The man who believes with you strengthens you twice. He not only adds his faith to yours, but mirrors it back, and in that reflection, your belief grows. That is the alchemy of association. When Andrew Carnegie was asked the secret of his success, he said, "I have surrounded myself with men who are smarter than I am." But what he meant was deeper. He surrounded himself with men whose minds burned with harmony. They did not waste energy in envy or conflict. Their differences became instruments of greater music. This harmony is not mere agreement. Agreement without faith is weakness. Harmony is agreement of purpose, not opinion. Two men can argue in detail, yet remain united in aim. One may say, "Let us climb by this path," the other by that, yet both ascend the same mountain. The test of harmony is not whether voices differ, but whether hearts beat together. When you find such minds, guard them. A true mastermind alliance is rarer than gold. It cannot be bought, only built through loyalty, respect, and shared conviction. One disloyal member can destroy it faster than 1,000 enemies. Protect it as sacred. If you have not yet found your circle, begin by becoming the kind of man worthy of one. No one will join a leader who doubts himself. Radiate faith, and faith will find you. Like attracts like. The definite purpose in your heart will draw others who share it, as surely as a magnet draws steel. Make this your exercise for the next 30 days. Each week, seek out one person whose character or conviction strengthens your own. Speak to them of your purpose, not to boast, but to share vision. If they respond with enthusiasm, nurture that bond. If they respond with sarcasm or fear, bless them silently and move on. You are building an army of believers, and not all are fit for battle. Affirm daily, "I align only with those who believe." My circle strengthens my certainty. My mastermind multiplies my power. Speak these words until they are not hope, but command. The subconscious will begin to attract the very souls you describe, and when they appear, you will recognize them instantly, not by what they say, but by how they make you feel stronger. The man who builds his circle wisely gains more than companionship. He gains access to infinite intelligence itself. Each mind brings its own channel of insight. Combined, they form a network through which inspiration flows more freely. Many of Edison's most celebrated inventions were born not from solitary genius, but from discussions with his assistants. The idea sparked in one mind was refined in another until it became practical. The lightning of inspiration strikes most often where multiple wires conduct it. Beware of the false friend who flatters but does not believe. He will nod in your presence and laugh in your absence. He will praise your ambition but feed your fear. Such a man is worse than an open enemy, for he pretends to give support while secretly pulling it away. Test loyalty by adversity. The friend who remains when profit disappears is the only one worth keeping. Your circle must also be bound by honesty. A mastermind alliance cannot thrive on pretense. Speak truthfully to one another, even when it hurts. False harmony is weakness. Honest correction is strength. The steel of trust is forged only in the fire of candor. As your circle grows, cultivate unity through shared success. Celebrate one another's victories without envy. The man who rejoices in another's progress doubles his own. The envious man poisons both. Harmony cannot coexist with jealousy, for jealousy is the admission of inferiority. Your mastermind should meet regularly, daily if possible, weekly at least. Begin each meeting by affirming your common purpose aloud. Discuss not failures, but possibilities. Keep the atmosphere charged with optimism and definiteness. Within such gatherings, unseen forces gather also. Inspiration becomes contagious. Ideas leap from mind to mind like fire across dry grass. If distance separates you from kindred minds, remember that harmony transcends space. Thought is not confined to distance or time. You can commune with any mind whose ideas you study with reverence. When you read the words of great men, you align with their consciousness. When you meditate upon their examples, you partake in their power. To study Hill, Carnegie, Ford, Lincoln, or Edison is to join their invisible council. The power of association cannot be overstated. A single hour with a definite mind can awaken more faith in you than 100 hours of solitude. The right ally can save you years of wandering. The wrong one can cost you decades. Choose carefully. The direction of your circle is the direction of your destiny. Remember, every law of attraction applies to alliances. You attract not what you want, but what you are. If you are loyal, you will draw loyalty. If you are disciplined, you will draw discipline. If you are deceitful, you will draw deceit. The mastermind is not a refuge for the weak. It is the gathering place of the strong. Do not seek to dominate your circle. Seek to serve it. The greatest leader is the one who makes others greater. Andrew Carnegie once said that the key to success is to surround yourself with the best men you can find and then give them freedom to act. Trust magnifies loyalty. Control diminishes it. This principle is not limited to business. It governs marriage, friendship, and every human bond. A husband and wife united by faith and purpose form a mastermind of two. Their thoughts, harmonized in love, generate prosperity, health, and peace that radiate through their household. The same law that builds empires builds families. One disharmonious relationship, however, can drain more energy than 10 good ones can supply. Do not tolerate chronic negativity from any quarter. You owe loyalty to purpose before people. The man who clings to poisonous company out of pity or habit betrays his own future. Compassion does not mean bondage. You can love someone without allowing them to pull you downward. When you have gathered your circle, however small, make it sacred. Protect it from gossip, fear, and complaint. Begin and end each meeting with gratitude. Speak of your aims as if already achieved. This shared certainty will create an atmosphere so powerful that even outsiders will feel it when they enter your presence. Within a few months, you will notice a remarkable change. You will think more clearly, act more decisively, and recover more quickly from setbacks. The combined energy of your circle will make you bolder than you ever imagined. Where one man's faith might flicker, 5 together become a blazing torch that nothing can extinguish. When doubt rises, remember your brothers in power. Their belief will sustain you until your own reignites. In return, lend them your faith when theirs grows dim. Thus, the circle sustains itself endlessly. This is the brotherhood of power, the living proof that success is not a solitary struggle, but a symphony of minds tuned to one purpose. Seek it, build it, guard it, and when you find it, never let it go. For in unity lies the secret of invincibility. Part 8, the theater of the mind. Live in the world where you have already won. All great achievements are first rehearsed upon the invisible stage of thought before they are performed upon the visible stage of the world. The mind is a theater, and imagination is both the playwright and the actor. Whatever you repeatedly picture, you invite into reality. The man who fills his inner vision with triumph becomes incapable of defeat, for life merely reflects what he continually sees within. You live each day not by what is, but by what you believe is. The beggar and the king may stand side by side in the same street, yet their worlds are not the same. The beggar's mind plays tragedy. The king's mind plays mastery. The difference lies in rehearsal. The beggar relives failure. The king relives victory. Both receive from life the roles they have cast for themselves. This law is immutable. The subconscious mind accepts every image held with feeling as command. It cannot distinguish between imagined success and lived success. Therefore, what you repeatedly and vividly picture becomes your experience. Your imagination is not a toy. It is the workshop of destiny. Andrew Carnegie saw himself as a steel magnate long before his first mill was built. He imagined vast factories humming with production, ships carrying his steel across oceans, men saluting him as captain of industry. Those pictures hardened into fact because he held them long enough to convince his mind that they already existed. The subconscious, thus commanded, drew to him every man and circumstance necessary to fulfill the image. Thomas Edison saw light before he created it. He saw cities illuminated, homes brightened, the darkness conquered. That vision guided him through years of failure. When others saw wires and glass, he saw the triumph of mind overnight. His imagination refused to accept darkness as permanent, and so it became temporary. Abraham Lincoln envisioned peace long before war ended. Even as the nation split, he saw unity restored. That vision became his compass when all evidence screamed otherwise. Imagination gave him courage, and courage gave him history's respect. Imagination is not idle fancy. It is creative command. It is the faculty through which infinite intelligence speaks to man. When you imagine with definiteness, faith, and emotion, you open a channel between the unseen and the seen. What begins as vision becomes vibration, then event. You must therefore live inwardly in the condition you desire outwardly. Each morning and evening, close your eyes and enter your inner world. There, see yourself as the man who has already won. Picture your body strong, your eyes calm, your home secure, your name respected. Feel gratitude, not hope, for what you behold. Hope waits, gratitude possesses. The subconscious accepts gratitude as proof that the thing exists and begins to reproduce it, in fact. Do not picture vague abundance. Picture definiteness, exact sums, exact conditions, exact results. The clearer your inner image, the faster it materializes. Vague wishes attract vague outcomes. Definite pictures attract definite results. Repeat this affirmation until it becomes part of your breath. I live my victory now. My mind accepts no defeat. The image I hold must become the world I see. Say it slowly, with feeling, until you can see your victory as clearly as the walls around you. You must feel your success, not merely think it. Thought without emotion is a whisper. Thought with feeling is a trumpet that reaches heaven. The subconscious responds only to impressions saturated with emotion. Therefore, as you imagine, feel the pride, the gratitude, the peace of already possessing what you desire. Let your whole being vibrate with it until it feels more real than your present surroundings. The law is impartial. Whether you picture poverty or prosperity, failure or success, it will obey. The subconscious is the servant of your habitual imagery. Guard, therefore, what plays upon the screen of your mind. Every complaint is a rehearsal for loss. Every gratitude is a rehearsal for gain. Each fear rehearsed is a prophecy preparing its own fulfillment. Each faith rehearsed is a miracle preparing its own appearance. The average man uses his imagination to increase his misery. He pictures bills unpaid, sickness coming, ridicule ahead. He believes he is realistic, but in truth he is rehearsing failure. And because he rehearses it with emotion, the law fulfills his command. He then calls it bad luck, never seeing that he himself was the author. The successful man uses imagination as ally. He pictures health when ill, opportunity when poor, loyalty when betrayed. He trains his mind to expect the best, even while surrounded by the worst. His faith becomes atmosphere. His vision becomes magnet. In time, circumstance conforms to conviction. To live in the world where you have already won is not delusion. It is preparation. The soldier trains before battle. The actor rehearses before performance. The builder draws plans before laying stone. Why should success be different? The man who imagines victory long enough becomes so familiar with it that when it arrives, he walks into it as though returning home. Exercise this discipline for 30 days. Each night before sleep, close your eyes and live your ideal day. See yourself rising confident, working with joy, achieving your aim, returning home to peace. Hear voices of praise and gratitude. Feel the satisfaction of tasks completed, goals achieved. Linger in that state until sleep takes you. The subconscious, unguarded in slumber, will receive the image as fact and begin its silent labor while you rest. In the morning, before thought of duty arises, repeat the scene. Begin your day as the man you wish to be, not the man you were yesterday. You will notice within days that your actions adjust unconsciously to your new identity. You will speak differently, walk differently, choose differently. The world outside will begin to shift accordingly, for reality follows identity. Imagination also purifies faith. When you see your victory vividly, doubt becomes absurd. You can no longer question what you have already witnessed within. The vision replaces uncertainty with familiarity. It is impossible to fear what feels already lived. When difficulties appear, do not stare at them. Close your eyes and return to your inner victory. There, in your private theater, you remain untouched. See yourself rising above the obstacle, turning it to good, moving forward undisturbed. Your imagination will instruct your actions, and your actions will dissolve the problem. All great leaders live mentally in advance of their time. They see the world as it shall be, not as it is. This power is open to every man who will discipline his thought. The world of today was built by the imaginations of yesterday. The world of tomorrow will be shaped by the imaginations of today. To neglect imagination is to drift through another's design. The drifter lives inside the images others create for him, advertisers, politicians, the mediocre minds around him. He becomes an actor in a play he did not write. The master writes his own script and directs his own production. Guard the theater of your mind as a sacred place. Allow no uninvited actors to perform upon its stage. Keep it pure of gossip, fear, and complaint. The images you project there will soon fill your outer life, and no man can live in peace while permitting chaos to reign within. If you would save years of wandering, begin tonight. Enter your inner world as a conqueror, not a beggar. You are not requesting fortune. You are commanding it through vision. When your inner life becomes definite, your outer life must obey. You will know your imagination has taken command when doubt begins to feel unnatural, when fear seems foreign, when success feels like memory rather than hope. Then you will have crossed the line between wishing and knowing, between dreaming and being. Keep a journal of your inner victories. Record the visions that move you most strongly, the scenes that feel most alive. Review them daily. You will find that as you persist, new ideas and opportunities will arise without effort. These are the physical echoes of your mental rehearsals. When you master this art, every circumstance becomes your servant. For you no longer react, you create. You no longer beg, you command. The power of imagination, rightly used, transforms thought into destiny. Live as though your victory were yesterday's news. Speak as though success were common fact. Behave as though the world had already agreed with your purpose. For the man who carries that inner certainty lives in a kingdom that others cannot see, but must one day enter. That is the theater of the mind, the unseen stage upon which every fortune, every empire, every triumph first appears. Direct it well, and the play of your life will end in ovation. Part 9, the unbreakable spirit. When fear dies, the man is born. Fear is the invisible chain that has bound more men than armies and enslaved more minds than poverty. It is the silent enemy that lives not in the world, but in the imagination. It has no substance, no body, no weapon, yet it has halted nations, ruined empires, and silenced the dreams of millions. To destroy fear is to destroy failure. The day a man masters fear is the day he becomes free, for no external force can imprison a soul that no longer trembles within. The average man spends his life negotiating with fear. He bargains with it, obeys it, apologizes to it. He says, I will act, but only if success is certain. I will speak, but only if applause is guaranteed. I will build, but only if no one mocks me. And so he never acts, never speaks, never builds, because fear always invents one more reason to wait. Fear is a liar, and hesitation is its language. Every law of success demands the death of fear. You cannot think clearly while afraid. You cannot plan while afraid. You cannot love while afraid. Fear divides the mind against itself. Faith unites it. The man who acts in faith becomes single-minded. The man who acts in fear becomes paralyzed. Abraham Lincoln lived under pressure that would have broken 10 ordinary men. He bore the scorn of enemies, the betrayal of friends, the heartbreak of loss, and the blood of war upon his conscience. Yet through it all, he walked with calm dignity. When asked how he endured, he replied, "I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true." That is fearlessness, not arrogance, but obedience to purpose. John D. Rockefeller possessed the same composure in crisis. When markets crashed and banks failed, he moved among terrified men with serenity. His pulse remained steady, his tone quiet, his faith unbroken. Where others sold, he bought. Where others despaired, he built. That calm earned him the loyalty of his men and the fortune that followed. He lived in a state where panic could not enter. Thomas Edison, surrounded by flames when his laboratory burned, turned to his son and said, "Go fetch your mother and her friends. They will never see a fire like this again." No trace of fear, no sign of defeat. His creations turned to ash, but his spirit stood untouched. Within days, he was building again. Such a man cannot be conquered because his confidence is not in circumstance, but in self-mastery. To act as though failure were never an option, you must strip fear of its mask. Fear is only ignorance of law. It is the mind's protest against the unknown. The cure for fear is understanding. Study the thing you dread until it becomes familiar. Darkness is terrifying only until you light the lamp. Once the mind comprehends, fear dissolves like mist under the sun. You must also understand that fear is imagination misused. The same creative power that builds visions of triumph can also build visions of disaster. The mind that dwells on ruin will draw it as surely as the mind that dwells on success will create it. To fear a thing is to attract it, for the subconscious mind obeys all emotion, whether of hope or dread. When you realize this, you will see that fear is nothing more than faith in the wrong direction. Say to yourself daily, "I am master of myself. My courage is greater than circumstance. My faith cannot be broken." Speak it aloud until your body begins to believe your words. The tongue is the rudder of the soul. If you command it toward courage long enough, fear will lose its voice. There are 6 common fears that enslave mankind: the fear of poverty, of criticism, of ill health, of loss of love, of old age, and of death. All others grow from these roots. And yet, every one of them is an illusion. Poverty is conquered by usefulness. Criticism is silenced by achievement. Ill health is improved by faith and action. Loss of love is impossible to the man who radiates devotion. Old age is defeated by purpose, and death itself bows to the man who has fulfilled his mission. The fear of poverty chains more minds than any other. Men remain in miserable positions, not because they cannot escape, but because they fear losing the little they have. They serve small wages and smaller men, imagining security where there is only stagnation. The irony is cruel. The man who clings to safety loses it. The man who risks boldly for his purpose gains abundance. The law of life pays generously only to those who dare. The fear of criticism destroys invention and genius. How many men have hidden their best ideas because they dreaded the laughter of fools? The world mocks first, then imitates. Every discovery, from the wheel to the airplane, was ridiculed before it was revered. The man who lives by applause will die by silence. Seek approval only from your conscience, and you will never be afraid again. The fear of ill health thrives on suggestion. The body obeys the mind, and the mind obeys belief. The man who constantly expects sickness invites it. The man who believes in strength, vitality, and harmony creates them. Faith is medicine, fear is poison. Both are taken through thought. The fear of loss of love makes slaves of men and women alike. They cling, plead, and submit, not out of affection but of terror. Love born of fear is not love but dependency. The one who knows his worth never fears abandonment, for he draws to himself only what matches his strength. You lose only the companionship unworthy of your spirit. The fear of old age is the child of vanity. It torments those who mistake youth for power and beauty for value. Yet time destroys only the body, not the soul. The man who continues to serve, to think, to love, never truly ages. His purpose keeps him immortal while still in flesh, and the final fear, the fear of death, vanishes in the presence of faith. The one who knows he is part of infinite life cannot fear the shedding of one form for another. Death terrifies only those who have not yet lived. The man who fulfills his purpose dies content, for he has already conquered mortality through creation. Your aim, therefore, is not to fight fear, but to understand it, observe it, name it, and laugh at it. Fear loses power when faced with courage. Like a phantom, it vanishes when confronted. You will notice that every time you act despite fear, it weakens. Every time you yield, it strengthens. Practice this discipline for 30 days. Each morning, write down one thing you fear. Then act in defiance of it before the day ends. Speak when you would have stayed silent. Begin the task you have delayed. Ask the question you have avoided. Each act of courage rewires the mind until fear no longer feels natural. When hesitation rises, repeat this affirmation. I am the man who cannot lose because I refuse to surrender. Say it in the tone of command, not plea. You are not begging for courage. You are awakening it. Courage is not something you find. It is something you uncover, for it has been within you since birth. Remember that fear is contagious, but so is courage. The sight of one brave act strengthens every witness. Lincoln's steadiness held a nation together because courage is more persuasive than words. Be the man whose composure gives others strength. That is true leadership. To live without fear is not recklessness. It does not mean leaping blindly nor ignoring reason. It means acting with calm confidence in the face of uncertainty. Recklessness defies law. Fearlessness obeys it. Recklessness is born of impulse. Fearlessness of understanding. The fearless man does not tempt danger. He transcends it by mastery. Imagine how many years of your life have been wasted in hesitation, ideas unspoken, opportunities declined, dreams postponed, all because of a shadow that never struck. To live without fear is to reclaim those lost years. 1 month of fearless living is worth 10 years of anxious survival. There will come a day when you stand before the ghosts of your discarded fears. You will see them as pale, powerless things that once ruled your decisions. You will laugh at how they trembled you, how they made you crawl, and you will say, "You no longer exist, for I no longer believe in you." This is not mere poetry, it is transformation. The man who kills fear becomes another being altogether. He walks through life as if ordained. Challenges become games, defeats become lessons, enemies become teachers. He no longer prays for ease, but for strength. He no longer asks for fewer problems, but for greater power. When fear dies, the man is born. The timid self, full of excuses and apologies, fades. In its place stands a new self, calm, commanding, unstoppable. His eyes look forward, never backward. His tone is measured, his pace steady. He is not loud, for confidence has no need of noise. He is not hurried, for he knows time obeys him. He is not proud, for fearlessness has no rival. This is the unbreakable spirit. It does not mean that storms will cease, but that storms will no longer move you. It does not mean that enemies will vanish, but that enemies will no longer disturb your peace. It does not mean that obstacles will disappear, but that you will no longer see them as obstacles. only as steps. Let this be your creed. I am the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. Failure does not exist in my world. Say it when you wake, when you doubt, when you fall, when you rise. Let it become the rhythm of your breath, for when you live by this truth, fear loses its throne. Now picture yourself 10 years hence. You stand upon the summit of your purpose. Around you are those who once doubted, now silent, now respectful. Your family walks beside you, secure and proud. You command peace because you have mastered yourself. The memory of fear is gone, like fog burned away by the morning sun. You have become the man who cannot lose because you have learned that failure never existed except in thought. That is the final victory. That is the birth of the unbreakable spirit.